Well, I'll tell you what. It's a hell of a news day. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. First, let me address that. People were saying, "Well, Jaffe, what band is that?" The band is Circus in the Sea. Those fellows are actually Alex is one of our God of War tier members, and he is the keyboardist and lyricist of this band, Circus in the Sea. I highly recommend you check out their Bandcamp page. It is going to be in the links, but yeah, it's good stuff. It's good people, and that is a very good song. And then the promo you just saw is from our very own JoJo D for membership. We'll talk about that later, but let's get into some interesting shit that's going on, you motherfuckers. Goodness gracious, it's nice to see you guys. Let me bring this up real quick so we can know what we're talking about. I want to be really clear first on something. I'm just moving my screens around. I want to be really clear on something because there's some articles that started to drop today, and I'll show them to you real quick, which is about this. We're going to get into the Schreier thing. That's going to be the bulk of our conversation today, fellas and Filettis. But right now I want to show you this. PlayStation is working on a counterpunch to Xbox Game Pass, claims God of War creator, meaning me. I just want to be clear. I don't leak. I am not a journalist. That's not what I do. There is plenty of information I have about what's going down at Sony and various other companies, and I would not tell you what it is because it's not my place to. It's not my story to share. We will talk about one of the reasons I'm upset with Jason Schreier's article, although I think a lot of it is a very good article and it's on point. I don't think there are things, in my opinion, unless you're talking about military or politics that will affect human lives, I don't think it's a journalist's job to sort of ruin a team's game that they're working on or out someone's game until they're ready. But that's, we can debate that. We can discuss that. But if you want to know, back in the day, a long time ago, the reason I point blank lied to journalists when they said, "Are you making a Twisted Metal?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about." Because it's my fucking story. It was Sony's fucking story to drop, not theirs. But regardless, though, I don't do that. Okay, I wouldn't leak shit. So when people are taking what I said on the stream, PlayStation is working on a counterpunch to Xbox Game Pass. All I'm telling you is stuff that is out in the public square. Do I have people at Sony that are corroborating it and saying, "Yeah, Jaffe, they're, just chill. All that stuff you're seeing about PS3 store, PS Vita store going down and people online sort of speculating that maybe that means that they're going to roll all that up into a singular service where that's emulated." Maybe. And they're not confirming it when I say it to them. They're just kind of like saying, "Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. Just wait, you'll see. But what you're talking about sounds pretty cool and pretty accurate," right? One of the things I think that we can know is not accurate, or at least I assume is not accurate about Sony's new streaming service, that people have said, "Oh, maybe what Jim Ryan is doing is he's going to kind of take all the Sony movies and TV, and he's going to take all the backwards compatible stuff from the Vita, the PSP, and the PS3, and he's going to use the new patent to emulate trophies over, or to give out trophies over emulated games." We know, based on the news that dropped yesterday about Sony and their long-term deal with Netflix that includes Uncharted and the Spider-Man movies and Ghost of Tsushima, the motion picture shows, and I assume the Twisted Metal TV series, that is not going to be part of a Sony streaming service. So I think we can automatically assume it's got nothing to do with bundling in television shows and movies. But I do think, from what I've heard both publicly and privately, and what's just clear, and Jim Ryan said it himself a couple of months ago in a report, I think it was GQ, they got to do something. They're getting here's Sony right now. We'll get to Schreier. Cool your fucking baby. I don't got it. I don't get the lingo, people. Cool your baby diapers. Makes no sense. Listen to me. I once changed the diaper of my... I have ADD. How are you? I once changed the diaper of one of my kids, and it was literally up her back, and it was like the bottom of the Mississippi. I don't know what was in that poo, but it was crazy. But anyway, the point is I don't know. It's Friday, you fucks. The point is that, yes, that they're going to have to do something. Jim Ryan came out and even said we have a response to Game Pass or something like that, but that's not the time for it right now. But if you're Sony right now, this is what's happening. Hi, I'm Jim Ryan. Oh, hi, Jim Ryan. I'm Shuhei Yoshida. Oh, hi, Shu. I'm Scott Rohde. Let's all sit down and have lunch together. Cool, let's eat. And they look down at their plates and they're like, that's weird. I thought I packed more lunch for my, like these guys bring their own lunch from home. I thought I had more lunch for myself. And it's like, yeah, because Microsoft's slowly starting to eat your fucking lunch, Sony, when it comes to Game Pass. So you know they're going to do something. You know they're going to respond in a meaningful way. And if they don't, then Schreier's article actually has more value today, because the essence of Schreier's article, whatever you think of little Jason Schreier, and we'll talk about him, is that Sony, because of whether you want to say it's a new corporate culture or games are getting too expensive, they are conservating up. They are becoming a more conservative company focused on big blockbuster games. And in that, I would also suggest that Jim Ryan's take on Game Pass, maybe it's not. Maybe he doesn't look at it like the threat that I'm almost certain most people look at it and say it is. But the main reason I wanted to kick off the show was this today, was to say, look, man, I'm not out there leaking shit. Okay. I just want to give you the heads up. Eddie Torres says Jim Ryan brings Gogurt in his lunchbox. Hey, Shuhei, that bento box looks good. I have some Lunchables. You want to trade me half your bento box for my Lunchables and one of these new cards that I got from Topps? Sure, you got it, pal. Naughty Dog have had a rough year, says Sir Gallahan. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. By the way, that's very kind of you, sir. We're going to talk more about Naughty Dog because there's something people are missing in Jason Schreier's story, which I'm going to give you a heads up on, like a high concept in a minute. But by the way, you can call in. This is a live interactive show. You don't have to pay to super chat, although I'll appreciate it if you do. But I'll read what I can. If there's something really exciting you need me to read, just have people remind me and tell me. And then obviously join the Discord if you want, and you can call in and we can talk live. That's kind of what this show is. So, okay. Let us move forward with the day. Here is the news recap if you have not seen it. The news recap is thus. Jason comes out with the Bloomberg article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can fucking see this. It's behind a paywall, but you get a couple of them for free. So if you want to see it yourself, there you go right there. There it is in the chat, but you can read like there's my fucking dog. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what upsets him so goddamn much. He's always upset about something. Anyway, but there's the article. Okay. So the article, the gist of it though, is that, the headline, Sony's obsession with blockbusters is stirring unrest within PlayStation's empire. This is not untrue. There's a lot of people that are upset. What I will tell you, without giving away too much, is I am stunned at the number of people within Sony that work for Sony now that have reached out to me and told me that they are not pleased, that they are not happy, that there's a lot of shit going down. You obviously know because people have been leaving Japan. Japan has been shuttered. You had the key bin guys, one of which I'm hoping is going to come on the stream this month to talk about Days Gone, not at a creative level. There's a lot of unrest happening, right? The VASG group shut down. So this article specifically talks about a couple of things. It talks about how there was a group run by Michael Mumbauer, which you guys know, he's been on the stream. You can search this channel. We did a wonderful conversation about everything from Crunch to him building this team and all kind. He's a great fucking dude, right? By the way, people said, oh, you knew about this because of Mumbauer. Mumbauer doesn't say shit. Mumbauer, if you watch that interview, Mumbauer is like, he should be a politician because he don't give away the store. He'll tell you things to reel you in and be all smooth and shit, but Mumbauer ain't leaking. You know who's leaking? I'm not gonna tell you who's leaking, but they're at Sony now. It's like you won't believe what they sent me. It would be illegal for me to show, just to let you know what I got. Literally, ask yourself what's illegal. Ask yourself if somebody had data from Sony. I mean, I have it, and I ain't doing shit with it because I ain't want to get arrested for it or get sued by Riley Russell. But people are leaking. So Sony, if you're watching, y'all know I love you. Come on now. Y'all get your house in order. What the fuck? But the point is this. So he says, look, man, VASG, this is this group. This is this Mumbauer group. they said, look, we want to do a Last of Us 1 remake. Okay, and we'll talk about why, because I've seen a lot of people today saying, well, why would you want to do a remake? And I will get to the chat, by the way. I'm not ignoring you guys. I just want to get through the core. So if you're just listening, which most people do, you're not like, dude, please fucking get to the news. I will, and I'll get to the chat too, I promise. But so why do a Last of Us 2 remake or Last of Us remake? We'll talk about that. But the gist of it was it was going to be done using the Last of Us 2 engine that was going to be and was brought into Sony San Diego to this team. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's insane, this dog. And they spent, I don't know, more than a year on this. They had gotten to a vertical slice. I hear it was pretty fucking good. And ultimately, for all kinds of reasons that I am not at liberty to go into, basically, Naughty Dog now has control of the project. It was kind of a VASG was doing it, and then Ben was kind of working on him with it, and then Naughty Dog came in to kind of oversee it, and then suddenly Naughty Dog got more control of it, and then suddenly, boom, it is now at Naughty Dog, and a bunch of the VASG guys have gone. Michael Mumbauer is left. The lead designer, Quentin, I think his name is Quentin Cobb, he's now over at a new studio funded by Microsoft, ZeniMax. That's a goddamn company in San Diego that he's been poaching people from VASG, the Last of Us team, the remake, to go over to the goddamn Microsoft people, right? So, I mean, that's the gist of the article. Also, within the article, they talk about how Ben was kind of like, what the fuck? We got to work on a multiplayer game with Naughty Dog. We're making Days Gone 2. Well, they were making Days Gone 2, and now that is canceled as well, okay? So what you've got, and then there's another thing that I'm stunned that I'm not seeing written about, which we will talk about in a minute in this article. I'm not spilling any goddamn beans. It's in the article, and I have it, you know, it's true. But people are like, oh no, Days Gone, or oh no, why are they making The Last of Us 2? It's like, well, what about this that you're not paying attention to? We're going to talk about it. Drowned by Fire drops super chat. He knows I appreciate it. Thanks, sir. He says, I don't like the smaller games. I like more AA and AAA. Should I care? I feel like I'm getting more of what I like minus the Days Gone sequel. Well, I don't know, really, should you care? What I can tell you is this, though, good sir Trown, is that it's less to me about the individual games that maybe you should care about and more about the fact that what does it say about the new management? Because if Sony, listen, oh my God, I can't tell you what I know. I wish I could. But let's just put it this way. Here's what I'm going to directly answer your question by indirectly answering it, Drowned by Fire. Listen to me. If Sony was saying, we're not doing Days Gone 2 because we're doing a brand new IP, and they might be, by the way. I think Bend is an amazing studio, okay? But a lot of the key guys at Bend are gone. A lot of guys at Bend and ladies at Bend, they ain't happy for a number of reasons, okay? But maybe they'll make something new. But suddenly you've got resources going away from Sony Japan. You've got resources going into another, basically a remake, which my understanding is still happening. It's happening at Naughty Dog now, according to the article. It's not like they're saying, oh, more resources are going to big brand new IP. It's starting to sound like they're going, look, we know God of War works, we know Uncharted works, we know Horizon works. Let's call ourselves lucky because this shit's north of $200 million budgets for the most part. Let's roll the dice. Of course, we have to continue to be creative, and they will, but we ain't going to be the old Sony. Now, there's good and bad to that, but, you know, that's the gist of it. So when you say, I feel like I'm getting more of what I like, if what you like is Uncharted and God of War, yes. If what you like is big AAA games that are interesting and different and they just come pumping out of Sony, I think it's too early to tell on that. I can tell you that obviously we'll continue to see Spider-Man and Ratchet and all the things you know and love, but how frequent are they going to drop new big expensive IPs? I don't know. But Ghost of Tsushima was brand new, and that was one of the best goddamn things I played last year. So I'm not throwing these guys under the bus. I still love a lot of people at Sony, and I think their DNA is still sound. But there is absolutely something going on regarding new management, and I'm not saying it's not bad. It's troubling. It's absolutely troubling. But what I will tell you is that if you or I were in the same position as Jim Ryan and Herman Hulst, we'd probably do the same goddamn thing. You got these budgets are crazy now. The risk is crazy now. I mean, I do things differently, but I certainly would be going, I don't know, fellas, do we really want to roll the dice on as many kind of, risky shit as we used to? We're not that company anymore. You can't be at this scope, but we'll talk about that. Okay, so listen, here's what I'll tell you I don't like about this story, though. So what bothered me about Schreier's story really was not the fact that he... And Phil Bethesda, I see you in the chat. I'll bring you in on voice in a couple minutes. It's not the fact that this guy was like, let me break some news about the philosophical aspects of the change in Sony. I just don't like it when you leak teams' shit. Okay? So Days Gone 2, that was Bend. That was Connie Booth's game. Right? Connie, if you don't know Connie's a huge fucking big deal producer, wonderful producer. She's Ratchet and Uncharted and Spider-Man. She's the bee's knees. She's the bee's knees. She'll fucking cut you in your sleep. Connie's crazy as shit because I'll tell you what, I love Connie. But let me tell you something about Connie Booth. You don't get to Connie Booth's position. Connie presents, Connie should have been a spy. Connie... if the MCU was real, Connie would be Black Widow, like that goddamn scene with Loki when she's like, oh, I'm so sad. And she's like, thanks, bitch, for the information. Connie presents as the sweetest. Her voice is so soft. She's so little. I've never seen somebody play the game in my life as good as Connie Booth, so y'all be careful, but she's great. If you ever get the chance to work with her, you should count yourself lucky. She knows what the fuck she's doing. But the point is this. That was her game to tell people that was canceled. That was her game to tell people, hey, yeah, I know you're disappointed in Days Gone, but maybe we got something else in the works that might soften the blow and excite you, and let us explain why we killed Days Gone. I don't think that was part of Jason's news. I understand that it was baked into the cake of look at all the pieces moving on the chessboard, and when you look at those pieces, you get a better perspective of my vision or my thesis statement about Sony becoming more blockbuster and more focused and less more averse to risk. And the more details you have about the chess pieces, the better the story is. Okay, I'm sure that's true, but you didn't need to know it was Days Gone. You didn't need to know it was a Last of Us 2 or a Last of Us 1 game made in the Last of Us 2 information. I know you like to know it. I like to know it too. I like the dirt and the skinny and all that good stuff, but ultimately that's a little shitty. So by the way, I got to let you know what I did because I knew this story was coming well in advance. Just so you know, I mean, I'm small potatoes compared to the reach of Jason Schreier. I'm not a journalist. I don't want to be a goddamn journalist. But what I will tell you is it was fun to kind of poke and at least let people know, hey, Schreier, it feels shitty to have your shit spoiled, right? Well, I'll spoil a little bit of yours. So I let people know it was coming. I told you motherfuckers 2 days before the story dropped exactly what the story was. I have the smartest, I do. I'm not even kidding. I have more Mensa members per capita on my fucking chat and our memberships than any other streamer. We did a fucking scientific study. It cost me like $6,000, but I wanted to know. I have more intelligent people, and you motherfuckers could not figure it out. It's right here. This was 2 days ago. Look, E3 doesn't mean E3. It means every third word, right? Sony drama dropping tomorrow about Last of Us internal production, infighting, developers, games taken away. Come on. It was right there and you didn't see it. You didn't, aren't you gamers? Don't you like puzzles? Come on, you sons of bitches. You didn't see a goddamn thing. Here's what is really interesting about a lot of this that's going on is Sean Layden is kind of, back. Mag Daddy says, I think you don't mean Mensa members. I think you mean NAMBLA members. Remember, I've told you guys about the time that NAMBLA did a blanket call to all the phones at Sony, Sony Games, Sony ImageSoft. It was quite the day to come in and have everybody having NAMBLA phone calls. That was quite interesting. But anyway, look, so here's the point. So Sean Layden's a little bit back into it because people have been tweeting at Sean Layden, who, if you don't know, was Jim Ryan before Jim Ryan. He ran Sony for a very long time. He was a really key guy. He was the head of Sony PlayStation, and he was a key guy in the PS4 launch, and he'd been there forever. The first encounter I ever had with Sean Layden was he and I got mad at each other because I was telling him that he wasn't big bad Sean Layden. He's Sean Layden, super nice guy. He wasn't Sean Layden CEO back then. He was just a guy who worked over at SCEE. And I was pissed off that they didn't give God of War 1 more marketing. And he gave as good as he got. He's a good dude. Carlos Barales says, Jaffe, here's some money. Thank you, pal. I appreciate it, buddy. He says, PlayStation is going into the PS3 era. They might. We'll get to that. But listen to this. So people have been tweeting Sean Layden. But seriously, Carlos, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. It's kind and generous, man. Appreciate it. People have been tweeting Sean Layden. Come back, Sean Layden. Come back, Sean Layden. Whatever, right? What's interesting, though, is Sean Layden, if you go to Sean Layden's likes, he's liking a bunch of this. Let me show you. These are some of the ones that he liked. This is a thread over on NeoGAF. He liked, as we get deeper into this console generation, the difference between Sean Layden and Jim Ryan's leadership is becoming increasingly apparent. He liked that. Right? He liked, yo, Sean, we need you back at PlayStation. Things are reading really bad with Jim Ryan. The current execs are set on destroying the company. This is a PS3 era vibes. That's like you were saying, Carlos, but even worse. Man, this is depressing. Congrats on the vaccine, though. I don't know what he's talking about there. I guess he got a shot. The point is, I mean, Sean is actually liking this shit. I'm not done with the super chats, Ethan. I'll get them all, I promise, buddy. Sean is absolutely liking this shit. So, I mean, that may be like, so what, Jaffe? Well, that's kind of a big deal when an executive, even a former executive, kind of pushes back in such a meaningful way when they're basically saying, Jim Ryan's not good for the company, but you are. And he's absolutely actually agreeing on it. That's kind of amazing to me. Ethan does drop a super chat. You're right, and I appreciate it. I will get to them all. Risk or what made Sony what they are? Well, isn't that the real conundrum that we are dealing with today, and dealing with that we have been talking about on this stream? Sorry, that's my notes. We have been talking about on this stream for a very long time, which is the tea leaves, if you know how to read them, are suggesting that Sony, by necessity, I mean, you got to be careful, but Sony, probably in my opinion, by necessity, are becoming a company that is much more conservative. But it's important, though, that there's a balance there. And I'm not saying Jim Ryan's the guy to walk the line, because Ethan is absolutely right. This is a company that I mean, I was there before there was Sony PlayStation. It was Sony ImageSoft. And I was there when those motherfuckers from Sony PlayStation walked in and said, hey, do you guys want to be part of this thing we're doing, right? From the very beginning, this was a company that thought like an underdog. And they got their asses kicked in Rocky 3, a.k.a. PS3. And what'd they do? They got the eye of the tiger back, right? Apollo Creed comes in and says, come on now, PlayStation, you got to get up. You got to go back to Philly and train like you used to. Don't be trained with this fucking robot. Don't be trained with the fucking robot that sings happy birthday. Go back to Philly, get the eye of the tiger. Let's run on the beach. That's what they fucking did. And PS4 comes back and boom, they're back in business in a big fucking way. Well, now a lot of people are saying, and I don't think they're wrong, that there is a danger that Jim Ryan is too conservative. He's not enough of a gamer. You watch some of this footage of Sean. Look, Sean's performative. Sean's an executive. He's not a goddamn moron. He knows when the camera's on. He knows when he's on stage. But that said, though, the man could talk the talk. He could talk games. He could talk the business and games and IP and all that shit. I'm not saying Jim can't, but so far he hasn't. And he's acting more like a lot of people have said online. I agree with this. From an optic standpoint, he presents more as like an Activision executive who's like, look, I could be selling the widgets. I could be selling, hey, look at these doorknobs. I'm really into doorknobs right now. Doorknobs are the future. Look at these fucking doorknobs I got from Greece. Somebody went to the bottom of the goddamn GNC and they found a shipwreck and there's some doorknobs from the ship. I don't know why he talks like this. He's British. But the point is, Jim Ryan doesn't seem like a gamer. Maybe that's hurting him. Maybe it's not. Maybe you need this kind of guy when the budgets are this big. But there is a fear, like Ethan is saying, where risk is what made Sony what they are, that maybe they're not going to be that company much longer because they can't. I'm going to get to, oh man. I'm going to get to Stoner Joe, one of my favorite, and then I'm going to get to this call from Phil Bethesda, and then I'm going to tell you about the game that you guys are missing. You guys are missing. There's a big news story in here that I'm not seeing anybody talk about. Hello, Metalhead Zaki. How are things? They're pretty good. Not too shabby. I got to drive to Carlsbad today in traffic, though, to drop my kids off at a sleepover. I want to do that because I love their being social, but goddamn that traffic. Stoner Joe dropped super chat. He says, I have run out of interesting things to super chat. Sir, come on now. Come on now. I appreciate it, buddy. You know I do, but come on now. The last time we talked, you were telling me you were a fucking celebrity and you were famous. You give me more. Dorian drops super chat. He says, cool. I appreciate it. Dorian, just like little Fonzies. It is cool. Thank you, sir. And then, of course, God damn it, sir. Salvo drops super chat. Thank you, buddy. Didn't Sean Layden make a statement in the last year about how AAA game needs to get shorter and less expensive? He did make that statement in the last generation. And he is not wrong. And you know here's what's funny about this Salvi, is that, listen, you guys know I don't have a dog in the fight. I got myself an Xbox Series which I love. I got a PS5, which I love. I got a Switch. I game on PC. I don't do console wars. I do games. I love fucking games, man. I love the industry. I love playing games. Sometimes, not always, love designing games, okay? But yeah, Sean Layden said that. He said, look, man, this isn't sustainable. You know what he said? This is a deep cut, but he sounded very much like Steven Spielberg and George Lucas about 20 years ago. Or 15 years ago. You can find this online when they were doing an interview and they said, look, man, these movies are getting too expensive. He said, all it's going to take is one or two summers or a summer where one or two movies that cost north of $200 million collapse, and it is going to have a chilling effect on the entire industry. People are spending and spending and spending, and the audiences are not growing, and it's becoming a real problem. And you're seeing that. You're seeing that with prices going up. You're seeing that with less chances being taken. Now, where are we in a place in the industry, besides the indie space, where a company has risen up and said, oh, well, maybe we could do something with the business model that allows us to take some more chances? I guess it could be Game Pass. So that's what I mean. When I hear, if only Sony is planning on doing backwards compatibility and maybe merging PS Now and PS Plus, that's not enough. We can talk if you're interested about what else they need to do, but that is not enough. But Game Pass right now, one of the reasons they're ruling the roost is they're offering better value. I'm not saying they're ruling the roost yet in sales. I know, although last week in India, baby, let's keep an eye on that. If that holds, that's a little foreshock, you know? Sir Gallahan says remakes of classic IP like Medieval, Shadow of the Colossus, and Demon Souls is cool, but The Last of Us is redundant. At least Blue Point are not making it. Well, let's talk about why they're doing The Last of Us, Sir Gallahan. And again, Phil, I see in the chat. I will absolutely bring you in. I'm sorry to make you wait. People have said that. They've been like, well, why are they doing The Last of Us? Why would they even do that? They just had The Last of Us remaster a year ago, a month ago, 4 years ago, whatever. Here's the deal. It's because they were going, and it's in the article. This is not a bad thing. I like this idea. I'm surprised that you guys think this is dumb, or at least a lot of you guys think is dumb. But these guys were going to make The Last of Us 1 in The Last of Us 2 engine. So it was going to look as good as The Last of Us 2, I imagine, the remaster for PS5, because there is a PS5 Last of Us 2 coming, and my understanding is they were going to merge it and make it the same fucking product. I don't know if it was going to seamlessly integrate and suddenly they were going to take 1 and 2 and smush them together. That would have been awesome, but I don't know if they would have been like the Nathan Drake collection and just packaged in the same, who knows? I don't know. But yeah, I think that's pretty goddamn great that you were going to get a Last of Us that totally feels like the new one. I'm not saying that that's the greatest idea in the world, but I don't think it's as kind of moronic as a lot of people are making it out. And it looks like that's still in production. That hasn't gone away, but it's just happening now at Naughty Dog. So, we'll see. Let me bring in Phil Bethesda real quick, and let's see what he has to say. And then I want to tell you guys about the game that you guys are missing. I don't know why people aren't talking about it. Phil Bethesda, what's up, pal? Are you there? All right, well, you're live. When you start talking, I'll start answering. But in the meantime, I'll get back to some of these super chats. And I also want to say thank you very much. We have, where did he go? Was it Troy? Troy is filming. Where did he go? Let me get this up here real quick. Troy is filming. Has joined the Diet Soda Soldiers. We're doing Popcorn and Pot movie night tomorrow. Which, if you don't know, we all members watch an exclusive movie together. I get stoned as fuck. We eat popcorn. And then afterwards, we do the double feature. That's for anybody who wants to watch. You don't have to be a member. But Troy is filming, has joined the Diet Soda Soldiers. I appreciate it, buddy. And Kay, welcome to the Diet Soda Soldiers. I think both you guys deserve a very quick visit from my good friend. Would you like to meet my good friend? Sure you would. Why would you not? Here he is. It's Phil Spencer as Jesus, because ultimately, even though I'm not a fanboy, I don't think he, other than being a terrible manager in terms of development, he's a fucking wonderful executive. Why, thank you, Jaffe. I appreciate that. Thank you, Phil. What do you think about the craziness that's... Well, first off, Phil, what do you think about Kay and Troy joining the Diet Soda Soldiers? I think that's pretty good. Hey, Jim Ryan, what do you think about that? I know you're having a bad day, Jimbo, but up here in the clouds where we're zooming really good, what do you think down there at PlayStation HQ? What do you think about that, buddy? Jim, what do you think about that, buddy? $70. Weird. That's all he ever fucking says. Okay, Dr. Emmett Brown, I'm going to bring you in live. What's up, Emmett Brown? Phil or Emmett Brown, you're both on the goddamn show. Nobody can hear you. I don't know why. Can you guys talk? Can you hear me? Text me in the chat. Let me know what's going on if they're in the Discord. Let me know if there's a reason that you guys are not able to get in. And if so, I will bring you in live. I'm not in the Discord call. I'm a fucking moron. Boom. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm sorry.
Hello.
Wait, hang on. All right, I'm so dumb. All right, listen, Jaffe is now talking to Phil Bethesda. I'll get to Dr. Brown in a minute. All right, go. What's up, Phil? How you doing? Thanks for waiting.
No problem, man. No problem.
How you doing?
Thank you for inviting me. Very good, very good.
Good.
Thank you.
What's going on? What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about maybe it's not concerning this news, but the future of Sony putting their games on PC.
Okay.
You know that you obviously have some inside information, but I don't want to press you to tell me something about it. But what do you think? Do you think we will see more PlayStation games on PC?
Yes.
So from the PlayStation 5
yeah, I think you will.
generation.
Look, here's the deal, Phil. I think ultimately it's kind of one of those things you argue about. It's I mean, this is cliche and tropey, but it's kind of like arguing when the first automobiles were rolling off the line in mass production. It's kind of like going, we really need to figure out how to make the wheels on the horse-drawn buggies better. It's like it's a very small term problem, because ultimately in the next 5, 6, 7 years, this is all going to be streaming. You're not even going to have a console. It's just going to be going into your TV and your computer. But for now, I will say that, look, to me, the only reason there's two reasons people are opposed to it. The first one is dumb. The second one is, I don't know, it's kind of dumb. The first one that's dumb is ego. It's like, I don't want my shit on there anywhere else because it makes me like PlayStation more. And that's a big part of my identity. And you can only play God of War 2018 on PlayStation. It's like, you know what? You're a fucking idiot. All right. If you're not 11 years old on the schoolyard saying that, grow the fuck up. Nobody cares, because Sony is going to make more money that they can then spend on more games, or hiring people away from Microsoft or from, wherever, Nintendo, whatever company you like. That's ducats that they can use to do their business. So I don't think that's a problem. The one complaint I've heard is the day and date. Like, if they come out with Ragnarok on PC like Microsoft is doing with their stuff day and date and on console, there is an argument to be made that the more you split your focus, and right now I think it's clear, although they haven't announced this, that Ragnarok is absolutely going to be PS4, PS5. They'd be morons if it wasn't. But no one knows for sure. At least I don't know, and no one's announced it. But there is an argument you can make to say, look, man, if you're going to put Ragnarok out on PS4 and PS5 and PC, even if you have, another team doing the port, you're having to make concessions and in order to get it running on the various PCs. And I bought a PS5 because I want the very best of the best, which is really stupid. Because ultimately, if you want the best of the best, you buy a fucking PC. A lot of these people who act like the PS5 is supposed to be the premium experience are driving like a really nice, Toyota, but in their fantasies, they're driving a Ferrari. It's like, baby, the Ferrari is a PC, right? The Ferrari is the one that's going to get you the best quality. But that said, though, yeah, I get the argument that says if you are going day one on multiple platforms, you're going to have a little bit of a degradation in visual quality and potentially design, depending on a number of things. But ultimately, I don't think Sony has come anywhere near to suggest that, and I don't think they need to do that. So that is my take on them going to PC. Buddy, I appreciate the call. Call back anytime. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Talk to you later. Okay, I'll get into some of these other calls. Let me get some super chats first. Let me tell you though, I got to tell you something. Then I'll get the super chats and I'll get some calls. Listen to me real quick. So what I'm saying, maybe you're saying it in the chat, but you realize from the article what else was canceled, right? You realize, you know what? Here's the deal. Don't say anything yet, because I'm not even going to look at the chat, okay? If you live in America, I'm going to ask you a question in the chat. This is text only. If you live in America, the first person I see that gets this question correct is going to win something that I will mail them. I have a truck to mail out tomorrow to a fan and a winner of our Mortal Kombat competition. I have a God of War 1 2005 original game design document. Well, it's a copy of the original game design document to send out tomorrow. I have a Twisted Metal team jacket to send out tomorrow, and I will be sending out this to you tomorrow. But I got to show you something, and I'm going to ask you a question. But let me show you something first. I started off the stream by showing you guys Circus in the Sea from one of our wonderful God of War cheer members. I'd like to bring your attention now, if I may, to this wonderful artist. This is Rotten Tanaku from Day One Patch Kids. Now, this guy does a lot of art, beautiful art. If you're looking on my back wall, he has the Sweet Tooth one there, this one right here, Toothache. But he basically does the Garbage Pail Kids by way of video game characters. He does them as stickers. He does them as all kinds of fucking things that you can see here. I'm going to put his link right now in the stream. Look at these beautiful fucking shirts. Look at these goddamn great characters, okay? So here's his shop right now. If you're curious about it, if you're interested in it, he's good people. He's creative people. Let me show you what I'm going to give away. Let me show you something. Hey, I'm streaming right now. Do you want to say hi to people on the stream?
Okay. Call me later.
Say hi.
Hi.
She's very impressed. Okay, I'll call you in a bit.
Okay.
Okay, bye. All right, let me show you what. Let me show you what I'm going to give you. Let me show you what I'm going to give you. Now, these are actual, I will get to the super chats, I promise. No one's going to be left behind. I appreciate your generosity, and I will get to the non-super chats, at least some of them. These are directly from Day One Patch Kids. I will send you these very beautiful collectible cards. And there's God of War right there. Look at him. Look at him. Claude of War, you old so-and-so. Look at him making fun. Yeah, that was Jim Ryan. Look at that. So I will send these out to you tomorrow or Sunday whenever I go to UPS this weekend. Here's the question, okay? What Here, the first one I see. Okay, so right now on my screen, I've got Caster Com. That's the guy who's where he's at. I don't care what you say you entered it first. It's going to be the first guy I see, and then you've got to join the Discord and send me a DM with your address, and it's got to be in America. What is the game? Here we go. What is the third game that was canceled? What is the third game that this article deals with that you guys are talking about Days Gone and you guys are talking about Last of Us Remake? What the fuck? Why aren't you talking about this one? There's another game. There you go. It's Gullheim Rodriguez. Send me a DM. Here's the it's Uncharted. There's a goddamn new Uncharted that was being worked on at Bend, Oregon, and it's dead. It's fucking dead. It wasn't an Uncharted remake. There's nothing in the article that says it was an Uncharted remake. It literally was a new Uncharted, and that's gone. Think about that. No, it's not an Uncharted 1 remake. That's the news. I'm not saying I don't think it's a loss that we don't have that we don't have a Days Gone coming, but the fact that they're not going to move forward at the moment anyway. There's the Discord right now. No, Naughty Dog is working on Last of Us. I'm going off the article. I'm not dropping any inside bullshit. I'm telling you that Naughty Dog right now, according to the article, is working on Last of Us 1. They took it from VASG, and now they're doing that. And I'm assuming that's going to be part of the PS5 package. Oh, you didn't like it, Prog Rob? I thought Uncharted Golden Abyss is one of the best Uncharteds. I enjoyed it actually quite a bit. Okay, but anyway, yeah, I mean, Iruxa says, I'm tired of Uncharted. I mean, look, I appreciate it. I appreciate it may not be for you, but I'm saying it's pretty goddamn big. It's one of their biggest hits. But yeah, whoever that was, hit me up in the Discord. I just put the link there, and I will send these to you if you are in America only, because otherwise it's way too expensive. Okay, let me get to some super chats, and then I will get to some calls. All right, hang on a minute. Let me go up here. You guys are very generous today with your ducats. I appreciate it. I am funding a small robot army. We are going to try our very goddamn best to take over Lithuania first, and then from there we're going to try to create a cinematic universe to rival Marvel based on Mad Magazine. I don't think we're going to do it, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Listen, here we go. We have Kay has super chatted. Kay says, Jaffe, I love you. I love your face. I don't know what that means, but I think I appreciate it. What do you think of Herman Holst and his position at PlayStation? Good fit? I, in my entire life, have never met Herman Holst. What I will tell you is, you know, I mean, I know him through his work. I know him through Guerrilla and how hard he works, and how great their output is. And I know he's a gamer, or he at least is in the mix in a meaningful way. So I have nothing to say about the guy other than he seems like he knows what he's doing. I can tell you, I have heard he's a very political guy. And he's a very maneuvering kind of guy, but at the same time, I don't know, for good or for bad, how you get to that position within Sony or within any kind of company if you are not that. You know, I don't see how that's possible. Kay, I think, yeah, so Kay also joined. Thank you, Kay. I appreciate that very, very much. What is Spazbo saying? Spaz, hit me up after the chat, man. I don't know. I can't think about it right now. Okay. Chongo says, Jaffe, thank you, Chongo, as always. What was the E3 hint deal? It was E3 doesn't stand for E3. It stands for every third word. If you read that tweet and take every third word, a day before Schreier dropped his article, I told you guys what his article was going to be, but nobody figured it out. Carlos dropped a super chat. Thank you, sir. He says, I've always been a big Sony fan, but I'm moving towards Xbox this gen. I mean, if you have to choose, think about this for a minute, Carlos. This is a good point. If you have to choose, there was a valid, and there's still a valid argument. There's a valid argument to say, and I don't think this is going to change. Sony first party makes the best goddamn exclusives on the planet, in a certain genre. If you want single player, beautifully produced, beautifully performed, beautiful looking, next gen action adventure story based games. I liked Gears 5 a lot. I thought it was a blast, but Gears 5 was a good. I love B movies. One of my favorite movies of all time is the goddamn Scorpion King, to give you an idea of what I'm about to say of where it sits on my level of things I love. But Gears of War 5 was a great Sunday afternoon matinee game. Last of Us 2 is a Criterion Collection Cannes Film Festival Oscar-winning game, right? Spider-Man is a Marvel MCU movie, whereas they don't make many of them yet. Gears of War 5 is kind of like Blade. Remember they made Blade and it was good, everybody loved it, but it wasn't MCU quality, right? So, I mean, all I can tell you is that if you can't live without those kinds of games and you can only have one, then I guess you should go with PS5. I was watching, what's the guy, Review Tech USA, Rich, last night, and he's like, look, if I could only choose one, he has both, I would choose a PS5. But the gist of it was it's getting harder and harder. And especially with today's news, with Schreier going, yeah, you're going to get those great games, but isn't it a little troubling, at least this is my read of his article, that there, how many more of those? Is it just going to be more the factory of Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, Uncharted, and God of War? Or are you going to get, on Ratchet, are you going to get 5-6 brand new big budget IPs? I don't know the answer to that. But if the answer is they are getting risk averse with these big blockbusters, which I don't blame them, Xbox begins to look more appealing for that reason as well. Michael Batty says, what do you think, thank you, sir, about how God of War is doing right now? Do you feel any guilt because it's pretty popular? Guilt? No, man. I don't feel any goddamn guilt at all. After this, I'm going to get right to the calls. Emmett Brown, you're first up. And then I'll get back to the chats. What do I think about God of War doing right now? I think it's great. Look, the thing people don't understand, and I'll be brief because that's not what today's show is about, but I've talked about this before, and I'm happy to talk about it later if you want, and I appreciate your super chat. But, a lot of people look at the video game industry and they say, that's the greatest job in the world, to be a video game director. And there was a time in my life where it was. I adored it. And there's a time in my life in the future, based on some things that might be happening, where I'm like, oh, I might want to go back and do that. But right now, I didn't want to make a new God of War. I think what Corey did was amazing. I think what that team did is amazing. I think the biggest tragedy of that will be if it turns out that this new management structure of conservatism goes to Corey, who I think we all know. I know he's publicly said, hey, I want to do a new IP now. God of War was, I don't think he looked at it like a work for hire, but I do know that, he has said it's like, I wanted to make this great. I wanted to contribute, and now I want to do my own thing. If Jim Ryan's like, I get it, you're great, but no, we need more God of War. I don't know. I don't know how long Corey is for Sony at that point. I'm not giving you news, by the way. I'm just saying that you think Japan was bad when those guys left because they're like, well, this is not us, right? You think Bend is bad when that leadership left. Well, what happens when Corey is like, you want me to sit here and waste away my 40s just making more of the same game I've already made? Why would I do that, right? So I don't know. That's me reading the tea leaves, and I have a 70% accuracy rating. I'm wrong sometimes. Not a problem being wrong, but I don't know. But what I'll tell you, though, is God of War, I couldn't have done what Corey did. I couldn't have done what that team did. It was brilliant. I loved it. And I'm looking forward to the new one. Dr. Emmett Brown, calling from...
Hello.
How are you? Which era are you calling from, sir?
I'm calling from 2085, the future. Marty, I've got some information from the future.
Yes, well, what is it? Tell us how does Sony work out? Okay, go. What do you want to talk about? Go.
Basically, I want to talk about how people are always saying on Twitter sphere, they're saying like, "Oh, fund the developers. Yeah, we gotta we gotta support them, all that stuff." And I think Game Pass is actually some of the answers that people are missing on it. There's something to say about low income, low barrier entry to gaming. you know, as you said before, there is India. India is now embracing the Xbox Series S. Yes, that's a very big thing.
Yep.
And you also mentioned something about how the film industry, and I really want to and I want to relate this to how the film industry and the gaming industry are going through a similar thing. Back in 2013, there was an explosion of streaming. Netflix released their House of Cards. And a personal note, I worked in the film industry in New York City. So
Okay.
so our union exploded with content. And the thing was, is because yes, there's a lot of people who are joining the Netflix ecosystem, and they're saying, oh, or the streaming ecosystem is like, oh, well, we'll just take $10 here, $10 there, $15 here.
Right.
And with that, the film industry in New York City exploded, and they started doing riskier things.
Yeah, and I have been saying the exact same thing about video game subscription services, and gamers, a lot of gamers do not want to hear it. But I think where you're going with it, because I saw a tweet this morning, I think it was from Eddie Torres, our very own Eddie Torres, where he puts like a Twisted Metal, Jet Moto, it may have been Ape Escape or something else, like box covers of old Sony games, and goes, I guess with this news, the Sony I grew up with is dead. And I'm like, it's not dead. It's just not called Sony right now. Because you're absolutely right. When you are gambling with less money, you can afford to do all kinds of shit. And that's exactly what we've seen in the streaming world. The fact that...
Absolutely.
Think about this. I mean, I stayed up till 2 a.m. last night watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, the 4th episode. The fact that...
10 million each episode.
Yeah, the fact that I give a fuck about Bucky for the first time in my life. I've always liked the Falcon, but the fact that I love the Falcon, that would never happen in a big budget movie. That's because that's because they said, look, we can tell these interesting stories that don't have to open at the box office at $280 million box office worldwide on the first weekend. And so people don't see that when it comes to video game subscription services, but it is absolutely it can and it should, and I don't see any indication that it won't, lead us to a level of new game design that is better because it is freed from the shackles of the retail model. It's a brilliant thing.
Now I have a question for you. Is the game industry unionized?
No.
Okay, so this is where I'm also getting concerned with this. Okay, so the game industry is making way more than the film industry, and our film industry is unionized. Like, I can't go onto a film set unless I am part of my union.
I understand. Yeah, my brother my brother was AC camera for many years on huge HBO shows, and he was like, dude, you can't fucking shit without the unions, and in a good way. He wasn't complaining. He was
it's a good thing. It's a very good thing. We have to protect it.
They protect us. That's right.
For 14, you're working 14-hour days on a film set, but you're getting paid well. And
but
for the basic content,
the game industry will not be unionized for a very long time, if ever, though, because there's a fundamental difference between the game industry and the film industry.
What's that?
The difference is, if I don't... What do you do in movies? What's your job?
I'm an audio engineer.
Okay, if I don't like you or your attitude, or if you look at me funny and I'm a big shot dickish director, and I've run through everybody in New York and Hollywood, I'll just go to Hong Kong, Shanghai. It'll be remote. I mean, look what happened to the special effects industry in movies. Look what happened to Rhythm and Hughes. They got decimated. Because ultimately, companies were like, well, we'll just go overseas and do this shit for cheaper. Now, go to
Weta.
There is not Weta. I'm talking like,
Czech Republic.
Yeah,
that's like cheap. Prague.
Let me tell you something, man. I played a horror game the other day. Now, this is games. I played a horror game the other day on stream, which I loved. And in America or in Europe or England, if you would have made that game would have probably cost upwards of, at the least, 6 to 8. This game, I found out, cost about $800,000. That's the same price we spent on Twisted Metal 1 back in 1995. So as long as executives can say, okay, well, I appreciate you want to have a union, that's nice, but a union's only as strong as the leverage it can apply to the people it's negotiating with. And if the people they're negotiating with, which is the publishers, say, we'll just go overseas, fuck you. Now, I will tell you, and I can't get into specifics yet, there is more rumbling, or there are rumblings happening from places like Malaysia, a lot of places where these things have been outsourced to, and they are now starting to complain about quality of life as well. So a lot of these big games that we all love, a lot of the sweat labor is coming not just from the companies here, but coming from overseas. And now they're starting to go, you know what, wait a minute, this is horseshit. You know, we're lowballing these companies, we're lowballing these publishers to get the deals, and then we're working these people like crazy. And you know, they're no less valuable than workers in America. So what the fuck is going on? So something's going to give, but I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if you can do a worldwide union, but you may have to do something like that. Dr. Brown, I appreciate the call, pal. Thanks for calling. Call back anytime, buddy.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, let me tell you some, let me just take a little sip of my bubbly real quick. Hang on. Okay. Let me get some super chats real quick. If Game Pass isn't profitable, says Johnny Graphics, then why should Sony replicate it? It's a good question. Shouldn't we focus on encouraging them to return to supporting experimental, mid-range, low-budget games like they did in the PS1 days? What I can tell you is Sony, if you ask some people around Sony, they will tell you, we do have some small games we're working on. And yes, they do. But it's not in this with the same relish. It's not in the same number, right? But Game Pass, you don't get to say, no offense, I appreciate Johnny Graphics as always, the super chat and your company, but you don't get to say Game Pass isn't profitable. Only because no one really in this chat, unless somebody from Microsoft is watching, knows. What we know is last summer, Aaron Greenberg said, we're not profitable, or it's not about that yet. It's not, you know, that was a year ago, give or take. Recently, a month ago, less than a month ago, the woman who runs Game Pass has now said, she didn't use the term we're profitable, but she absolutely, and I had to find it, we talked about it about a week ago. She used the term something along the lines, though, of the financials they're working out now, is what she said. So, who knows? But again, this idea that people have, and I'm not going to stay on this for long because we talk it to death, but the idea that gamers, that sort of Monday morning quarterbacks have, and I'm one of them, I'm not saying I'm smarter than anybody else, I'm probably dumber when it comes to math, but the idea that a company, a $1 trillion company like Microsoft doesn't have people that run numbers. I mean, on Drawn to Death, my little rinky-dink game that got the worst reception of my career, Sony put 2 or 3 digital game analyst, financial analyst, just to make sure that we were doing our best to make as much money as we could while not hurting the gameplay. You don't think Microsoft, a $1 trillion company, has run the numbers on Game Pass and said, you know, the numbers make sense? We may not be profitable until 2026 in a way that matters, but who cares? We're playing the long game. We're fucking Microsoft. Okay, I hear it also about Netflix isn't profitable. It's like, think about the moronic statements people make about this. Netflix, let's just suggest for a moment that Netflix was a fluke. Okay, well, Disney Plus jumped in. They weren't smart enough to run the numbers, but NeoGAF is. HBO Max jumped in. They weren't smart enough to run the numbers, but Reset Era is. Shudder ain't spending as much money. It's a great service. They jumped in. That's, I think, AMC Networks. They weren't as smart as Twitter. This idea that the subscription service doesn't work would be valid if you weren't going up against all of these MBAs and all of these billion and trillion dollar companies that are saying, thank you for the backseat driving, but we got this. Just enjoy the games, right? So I don't agree with the thesis that it's not profitable, so Sony shouldn't replicate it. I think it's going to be very profitable if it's not already. Chongo, you didn't have to pay me money to ask that. Chongo drops a super chat, says, hey, do you have my address? Because he's the guy I'm sending the God of War 1 design document to. I do. If I don't, though, I think I have it in the DM. If I don't, I'll reach out to you. Let me bring in some calls real quick. This is Torchwood for SP. I don't know what that means, but it doesn't matter. Torchwood, you're on. Go.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you great. What's up? What do you want to talk about?
Well, first off, super unrelated, but really long ago, you said you liked Golden Abyss. That means like the world to me because I really love that game and no one talks about it.
I thought Golden Abyss was The Golden Abyss was the third or second best Uncharted. Obviously, Uncharted 2 is the very best. Uncharted 3 and Golden Abyss kind of hang out battling each other forevermore. I didn't care for Uncharted 4 at all. I thought it was a beautifully produced game, but it wasn't fun. And I thought Uncharted 1 was great to kick off the franchise, but it doesn't, I didn't think it was a great game. But Uncharted Golden Abyss was really a fascinating product because it's really interesting, that game. You could really study that game and spend a lot of time talking about it because it's a game that didn't have the crutch of production value like the Naughty Dog games do. Like as an interesting design exercise, if I ever ran a design class in a college, I would say let me mute. If you're coming in to talk, go ahead and mute yourself. Otherwise, I'll do it for you. But I'd rather you do it. But I would say, hey guys, take a Naughty Dog game, take Uncharted 4 or take Last of Us 2, and imagine it without the brilliant production value. Does it still work as a pure piece of interactive entertainment? I'm not saying it doesn't, but the thing about Golden Abyss that was so great was that it didn't have the luxury of looking like the prettiest girl at the ball, but it still was genuinely fun and engaging, which I thought was great. All right, Torchwood, what do you want to talk about?
Well, thank you for not assuming that was my question. I got really worried, but I super love hearing about that, especially because I have a couple people I know personally who worked on that game at Bend, and they just never get the recognition for it. But one of the things I wanted to talk about really bad.
Hang on. Do you have friends at Bend right now?
Not anymore. This is back. Oh, Jesus, that makes me feel old. Yeah, Jesus. Golden Abyss was made literally a decade ago. So yeah, not anymore for a while.
I only asked because I'm hearing some rumbles. I wanted confirmation. Okay, go. What do you want to ask?
So my whole thing was, I've been covering this industry forever, super on a small scale, but I've been fortunate enough to know people who are still at Sony, have been there in pretty much over the past 15 years or so. And it's just so funny, kind of hearing you talk about it and how much a lot of it really lines up. And one of the things I always sort of try to stress, but it's hard for people to kind of get, is it's really easy, especially over the last couple of weeks, to be man, fuck Sony or fuck Jim Ryan. But very few people are kind of being hey, Sony management is who you do not like. The people who are still at, the guy who is upset online about Last of Us getting remade, trust me, I know people who are at Naughty Dog who are not the most excited, A, that got revealed the way it did,
right, and
B, that they are working on that. That's not their passion project.
That's right. And let me fucking tell you something. Like I said, this, people assume I know things from certain places. I know people as well within Sony that get paychecks from Sony now. I'm not saying, I don't want to paint the wrong picture. I'm not saying it's a miserable place to work. That's ridiculous. That they treat their people very, very well. But in terms of Sony for the longest time being it's a fascinating thing to watch and to have been a part of when it was growing. There was a time where you could look at Sony and it's are you creative? Are you the best? Come here, and yeah, you're going to have your ass worked off, but you are going to be fulfilled when it's all done because you're going to put something out that if it's good, the world is going to love. And now some of those guys, when you talk to them, it feels more like they're working in a factory. It's I got to go make the fucking widgets because, that's what happens when you start spending the kind of money they're having to spend. So I'm not surprised to hear you say that there are people at Naughty Dog right now that are not digging it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny when I saw a lot of the people behind the scenes leaving after the whole Last of Us Part 2 release, and people were being oh, there you go, see, it's because it was crunch culture, that's why they're leaving, and blah, blah, blah. It was no, it was funny of knowing people were no, they're leaving not because of what had just happened. They're leaving because they know what's ahead for that company.
Right.
And unless your dying passion is to make the Last of Us factions, which there are people at that company who are really busting their butt off for that game, not everyone's going to be there for that exact reason. And it's one of those things that I think I wish as many people who got upset talking about Last of Us remakes today were even half as interested in stuff like Housemarque's Returnal, which I'm like, man, I'm buying that game day one, not because I think it's worth $70, but because like I love and I trust that team at Housemarque.
Housemarque is amazing. They're amazing. And I look, I don't know if it's worth $70 yet. I have no clue. I get a sense it's not, just because of scope, but those guys never miss. I mean, their worst game is still fucking super compelling, which is Dead Nation. So is it Dead Nation? That was their zombie top down, right? Yeah.
That was the one. I mean, like, there's like, you could kind of like give or take like that PS4 era where like people literally forget certain games came out.
Resogun, Jesus
I mean, like,
fucking Christ, man, that's the shit.
Oh, well, I mean, not Resogun, but more like you never hear people talk about Matterfall. You never hear people talk about Alienation.
Right. That's
and
true.
like stuff like that. And I'm like, you're talking to a guy who owns 3 hard copies of Nex Machina. I can't pay people to play that game, and that game's like
awesome.
Them at their best.
All right, well, I appreciate the call, Torch. Thank you, and I'm with you, man. I think the biggest thing you said that really gets under my skin is these guys and girls work so fucking hard, and to have it spoiled the way it was, that's not good stuff. But it is what it is. It's a different debate whether that's news or not. But I appreciate the call, buddy. Thank you. All right, man.
Oh, hey, but real quick, if for your Bend thing, if you want to DM me on Discord or whatever, I can probably pass it along if you're curious, because like it wouldn't be that hard to get it answered or not. So,
all right,
if you really want it and you can remember, shoot me a DM and I'll gladly get back to you.
You got it. Thank you, Torch. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Eternal in the chat says, which I think is, I don't want this to get lost. A business going with games that sell well should not be controversial or viewed as a negative. I don't think you're wrong at all. Okay. Here's I think what the issue is. Before I tell you the issue though, Doge Alexander is in the chat. Doge is one of the designers on the brand new, currently for free on PS5 if you have PS Plus, Oddworld game. He was one of the motherfuckers that designed that goddamn thing. It's getting really good reviews. Everybody who has the means, it wouldn't bother me if you gave Doge a little picture of my future wife in the emotes. I would appreciate that on Doge's behalf. Now, a business going with games that sell well should not be controversial. I don't think anyone's sitting around thinking it's controversial. I think it's more of that is not what Sony has been for a lot of people for a very long time. And Sony, out of necessity, is becoming a different company. Now, one could argue this is about the time that Sony should splinter off. And I don't know why they didn't do this. Maybe they didn't think to do it, or maybe they don't think it's lucrative. But if you look at what movie studios do, a lot of times they'll have boutique productions, right? They'll have Focus Features, I think, started as a division of a bigger company, a bigger movie studio, right? For Sony to say, look, we are PlayStation Productions now. We can't do, a sequel to Parappa anymore. It doesn't fit. But you know what we can do? We can have a little boutique operation under the umbrella of Sony or PlayStation. And they don't have anywhere near the budgets we do, but they exist to continue that connection with fans and also function potentially as a sort of a farm league of creating new IP at a lower cost and maybe creating day one drops for PS Now so it adds more value to that service. And maybe you put it under somebody like an Alan Becker or a Scott. I mean, Scott's doesn't, and Scott's big budget guy, but you put it under somebody from the Sony that we all grew up and came up loving. And then it's like, look, we get it, fans. It's good business and it's also good PR. But the idea, though, Eternal, that no one's shitting on Sony because they're doing good business. It's more, I think they see the very real dangers, because we see it with a lot of companies, that you get so big, you lose the very thing that made you big, which is sort of your essence, your spirit, your heart. Is that happening at Sony? I don't know, but it sounds like it is. Schreier's article makes it sound like it is. Looking at some of the actual things that are happening make it sound like it is. So I don't know. That's a concern. But no, I don't think anybody's sitting around going, why do they want to make money? Of course. Fucking of course. Okay, let me get to some super chats. Jaffe says, Jeff Batista, thank you, buddy, for the super chat. What do you think about this Sony strategy to stay in silence after all the bad rumors? Wouldn't it be better to confirm if they are true and then show positive sides in their decisions? Look, what can I tell you, Jeff? What can I tell you, Jeff? Let me tell you, it is a conscious choice on behalf of Sony. This is a leak, but it's not a news leak, so I don't feel bad about it. This is from two people I heard that work at the company now, and it's kind of like that last caller who's like, "Hey, not everybody's happy." Okay, they knew this Schreier story was going to drop, and they weren't happy about it, and they shouldn't have been happy about it. And they made a conscious choice not to get in front of it. If I were them, and I'm not, come on, PR fucking probably hates me. I'm a pain in their fucking ass, or I was back in the day. I hope I'm still not, but it is what it is. But if I were them, I would have been like, we know Days Gone 2 being canceled is going to come out from Schreier. They had a heads up. Schreier gave them a heads up, and they chose to stay silent. Okay? Schreier gave him a heads up. You know what he said? I'm not going to tell you. Should I tell you? I'm not going to tell you that. Well, no, I'm not going to tell you that. Let's just say that he gave him a heads up and he tried to sort of not negotiate his story from my sources, but it's like, I'm going to do this story. Hey, can I get something that's totally not to do with that story? But I mean, but it's a nice thing for, fuck you, Schreier. Yes, Bubba.
Okay, when are you going to check the traffic?
Let me, I will check at 1:15.
Okay.
Deal?
Yeah, I don't know if that's because I'm taking a shower right now. So
Take a shower and then come back and we'll check the traffic.
Okay, because I'm not sure if I should dye my hair right now.
Oh, why don't you check the traffic and come back and tell me?
I don't know how to check the traffic.
Just type in traffic from, Del Mar to Carlsbad and tell me what the freeway looks like.
Okay.
All right. I got to take the boy to the Carlsbad today. He's going to a sleepover.
Do you want me to shut this?
Yeah, for now, because I'm loud. Thank you, buddy. So anyway, though, the point is, though, is they have chosen, rightly, wrongly so, Jeff Batista, not to say anything, right? If it were me, I would have said, fellas, we know there's a story that's going to drop. I would take all the air out of Schreier. And I would say, there's a story that's going to drop. This is the nature. You like these big graphics. You like these beautiful performances that we give you with these award-winning actors. You like these great directors like Corey and Neil and the guys at Bend. It doesn't come cheap. We are the best in the business at this, but it costs. And in that, we have to sort of make more conservative decisions. One moment, my boy is back. I don't know what he wants.
Says it'll take 35 minutes to get there.
If we go now, or if we go, okay, why don't you go dye your hair? Or don't. I don't care. If it's 35 minutes, we can leave at 1:45, not a problem.
Okay.
But you decide, because it may be 1:45 rolls around, it's not. But if it's not, we won't be leaving till 6, in which case you can dye your hair then. So just go take a shower.
So I shouldn't dye my.
Don't dye your hair right now, because you're not going to have time if we leave at 1:45, right?
Yeah.
So don't dye it. If we don't go because traffic's gotten bad, we're not leaving till 6.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You guys are getting the inner workings of Cal's hair regimen. He's dyeing it green and black, which I think is going to look cool, right?
Have you told Sarah yet, or mom? Or...
Talk to mom. Talk to mom about Sarah. See if she's coming or not. Okay. Okay. So regardless, the point is, they should have said, "Look, man, it costs. It costs money. It costs time." And in that, we're going to have to be a little more conservative on some of these gambles. I hope you can stick with us, but here's what you should know. This would be Bend, Oregon, or Connie, or one of these guys talking. Here's what you should know. Days Gone 2, we loved. Or Days Gone 1, we loved. It did well for us. We know it has a fan base. We're not going to continue at the moment with Days Gone 2, but I have to tell you, because I know they're excited, about a new IP that Bend is working on that was referenced in the article. They could have used that as a thing to deflate Schreier and to kind of spin it a little bit and then say, but trust us, guys, when you see what they're working on, and remember you trusted us for Spider-Man? Remember you trusted us for a new God of War, for over-the-shoulder God of War? That's not going to work. And it became one of the games people say is the best game ever made, okay? Just trust us. When you see what Ben's working on, you'll go, okay, we still want a Days Gone 2, but we think this is pretty fucking cool. They should have done that, Jeff Batista, but they didn't. And now you've got people like me opening. Otherwise, I would have been talking about, 6 Days in Fallujah today. So there you go. Stoner Joe drops super chat. He knows I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. He doesn't say anything. I think he's comatose in a corner eating a bunch of ding dongs, going back and forth, going, Jim Ryan's not really my dad. Jim Ryan's not really my dad. At least that's my fantasy. Stoner Joe, thank you so much for that super chat. And then Wile E. Coyote comes in with a super chat. He says, what is the appeal of remaking The Last of Us 1? It was going to basically be, I guess, the Star Wars appeal. And I know of the special editions. They weren't necessarily going to change a lot or anything, but it was going to just be able to be a seamless transition. So if Neil Druckmann wanted to, for example, my understanding is The Last of Us 1 could have, I don't know if this was the plan, I'm making this up, this is my designer brain working, it could have flowed seamlessly into the start of The Last of Us 2. I mean, you would have had a dissolve, it doesn't, they could have made a transition. They could have said, okay, we're also going to remake The Last of Us 1, and we're going to build 1 hour's worth of brand new gameplay that Neil has written that is going to be the bridge between the two, so that it feels like a seamless, gigantic product. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to do something like that. And it also would have gotten a new team within Sony their sea legs. So that team, after this, would have had great experience working with the Naughty Dog engine. They would have been able to move on to other things, new IPs or different remakes or whatever. All you guys are always like, more games, more games, more games. This would have also helped with that. Okay, let me bring in, I'm going to bring in Fat Boo, who's been waiting for a while, and I appreciate it, Fat Boo. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, thanks for it's all good, man. I love watching your channel.
I appreciate it.
All these thoughts are crossing to my mind here, and you say a lot of different things, and I really feel for Mark Cerny, and his team. Well, I think he did a genius thing in his presentation with the PS4 reveal, where he just either Sony knew or he knew, or it was just like lightning in a bottle, seeing that the whole fallout with Don Matrick with Xbox, the whole like how they revealed the next Xbox One and stuff like that. So PS4 really had a big grand slam home run, and they had a really successful generation. And then we have Mark Cerny revealing the PS5 specs, but I'm very, very excited. I feel like it appeals to a lot of gamers that are excited about what the PS5 is capable of doing that no other hardware can do at the moment. I think there's a lot of pressure with Ratchet and Clank from Insomniac. I think there's a lot of pressure with Santa Monica's Ragnarok if it's still exclusive to PS5.
Yeah.
My point is, the topic here is like transparency and the trust in the brand. For me, Phil Spencer, when he took over, after 1 year, after every single E3, for me personally, I've been so impressed with their press conference that I feel like, it feels like I'm talking to a fellow gamer. A lot of the things that they reveal and their user interface and the feedback in Game Pass really appeals to me, where now I am back with the Xbox family for the past 2-3 years. I got an Xbox One X. I have a Game Pass Ultimate. I have a PC that's a pretty powerful rig, and I have all these options for me to play these games that normally I would have overlooked.
That's right.
And my point is that I feel like Phil Spencer is like the Kevin Feige for Microsoft, and this is the concerning part. I'm excited for PS5, but the brand, the identity for PlayStation, for all of us fans that are willing to spend $70 or maybe more to combine PS Now and PS Plus, and even furthermore stay on board to buy the PS6 and so on and so forth. It's concerning because like when you hear these kind of news of people leaving, that's really like, we love PlayStation since like the past 25 years and so on and so forth. It's like, what are they doing? You said it best. The conservatism is really like, out of hand, but I totally get it. There's more behind the scenes. I'm sure
there's a lot.
It's really difficult.
And these aren't morons. I mean, these are, I cannot speak to Jim Ryan. I've never met him, but I've met a lot of executives. I've met Scott Rhodey. Scott Rhodey, is a key player in the wonderful career that I got to have. I met Connie Booth 3 days when I started as a tester back in 1993. So I know these people enough to tell you that these are not morons. They love games. They love what they do. And they're, the biggest problem, in my opinion, this is not them speaking, is that the PlayStation 5, Sony has always had this problem. I think it's in their DNA, and it's what makes them great. and it's what their Achilles heel is at the same time, which is they greenlight shit. I don't mean games, I mean hardware that is cool and neat and amazing, but sometimes they forget, and I don't know if they really forget, it feels like they forget the fact that still has to be a product that is super lucrative. I know that sounds dumb. Of course they don't forget that. But it's like the PS5. The PS5's bread is buttered on these incredibly expensive productions. Okay, that's fine. But that's going to determine the way your company looks and makes decisions for the generation of PS5. And that's going to push people away that have come up loving the more free creative Sony. And it doesn't mean they're not making any of that. Again, if you ask some of these executives point blank, they'd say, we're not getting rid of that. It's like, yeah, you're not getting rid of it, but it ain't what it was. And it ain't close to what it was. Okay. So I guess all I'm saying is when you say, what are they doing? I think they are trying their best to deal with this hand that says, we have made so much money and made so many fans happy with these giant fucking games. And we don't want to not do that because we're the best in the goddamn business at it. And they absolutely are. But I think they are placing too many bets on that. And in comparison now, as we're starting to see Microsoft and their strategy, I mean, in the last week alone, I get it. You can't compare Outriders to Last of Us 2. You can't compare Outriders to what Guerrilla is rumored to be working on, which is sort of a new shooter with the guy who directed Rainbow Six Siege. But end of the day, though, it's free on Xbox. It's free. I know. Don't come at me. It's fucking free. Mentally, psychologically, it's free on Xbox Game Pass. It's $60, $70 in the store. Same with MLB. Same with Dirt. You're talking about games that you've never played before. I never would have played Dirt in my life because I was wrong and I thought it was one of those sort of boring semi-Euro games like, you know, a rally game where there's a guy sitting next to you going, there's a left turn coming up 30 degrees. I'm like, fuck that shit. Well, Dirt 5 is on Game Pass. It's $60 if you want to buy it on PS5. It's free on Game Pass, and I played it over the week, and it is fucking a blast, right? So you're starting to see this come to fruition, and what you're seeing with Sony is, at least at the moment, and we know they are going to announce soonish, maybe summer, their kind of like version of what their studios are going to be going forward. And these are smart people. They're creative people. We're going to like it. We're going to be impressed by it. We should not count these motherfuckers out, but...
Oh, I'm not counting them out. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Go.
I apologize to Papa Cheeks and everyone that's waiting in the voice chat. I just wanted to say, like, you know, we've all seen this kind of play out 2005, 2006 with the PS3. You know, Ken Kutaragi had a wet dream. And then poof,
right?
You know, here's my vision for PS3. But it turned to be such a tremendous, exponential, like Mount Vesuvius of like a hassle to program the promise of HDMI and HD TVs. I remember when I got one at launch, it was just ridiculous how it wasn't prepared, and there were firmwares, and a lot of people were disappointed in the cell processor. Right, and I'm like,
no, it was
bad.
You
know, with
it was bad.
Yeah, with PS5, it's like, you know, history is repeating. I hope Sony understands, like, you don't want to go down that path again.
Right.
And I hope that, you know, they realize that. But I agree with you. They got smart heads over there. And I hope that it's not like the end of a cycle where, like, maybe the PS5 is the last hurrah for their...
End of the day, it might be. But ultimately, they'll come back. It's the people that matter. It's not like the people, you know, who made the things you love aren't going to go anywhere. They just might go to Xbox. But hopefully, Sony will be able to straddle the fence. And we'll see what they do in the next couple of months, I think, from what I understand. All right, buddy. Thanks for calling. Call back anytime.
Thanks a lot.
All right, man. But let me burn through some of these calls. We're going to make these pretty fucking quick. If Corey Leaves says itchy, I'm going to flip the fuck up, period. As long as you film it and we can live stream it, I don't mind, sir. Just be safe out in the world. Okay, this is Bad Boy Live. Go. What's up? Bad Boy Live, you're on. I'm going to give you 5 seconds.
1 second. All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
All right, perfect. Hey, how you doing? Hey, first, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
If everybody out there listening, his movie nights are some of the most fun times I've ever had.
Oh,
that
nice.
80s horror flick we watched a couple weeks ago was awesome.
It Night of the Demons, which I had never fucking seen before. and it was so. I mean, it's got some problems with watching it in 2021, but boy, it was so nice to see a violent, gory, vulgar TNA horror movie like the kind I grew up with. It was good stuff. I appreciate you watching it, buddy. Thank you.
No. So, kind of building on what he was saying, it seems like throughout the history of consoles and gaming, it seems like history keeps repeating itself. It happened with Atari. They made the 2600, they made the 5200, then they made the 7800 that was supposed to compete with the NES, which of course failed for them. And same thing with Microsoft. They had the Xbox 360, then they go into the Xbox One, and all they're talking about is video and all of these features that have nothing to do with gaming. And same thing, PS3. It's just weird that Sony's going in this direction now, because they're kind of boxing themselves in, kind of like Microsoft did, like you said, with Gears of War and the kind of the 3 games that they have that are big. And I love both systems. I love playing games on both systems, but I find it kind of horrifying that they would cancel something like Days Gone 2, because I think of that game and I think of what could be possible with machine learning and advanced AI that they could use with that game on the PS5, and just the possibilities, and of course the fan base that was there. It's a little scary because people have got to look towards the unknown, and I know Sony has some of the best first party stuff out there, so I don't doubt that whatever they're looking to from Days Gone 2, obviously it has to be something that they have a lot of faith in, because they wouldn't cancel it.
I think that's true. Let me ask you one thing that I'm going to disconnect, and I want to address your bigger point, but I have a quick question for you. So we all know Sony makes the very best single player action adventure games in the world. It's easy. It's not debatable. But would you rather, if you could only have a PS5 or a Series X, and you knew your games on the Series X in terms of that genre would only ever get 70% of the overall quality of what you see in The Last of Us 2, but you knew, because of all of their acquisitions and because they are rolling the dice big on indies, and now they're rolling the dice big with third-party games coming to their system day one or within a month, like Dirt, would you rather go, I'm going to miss out on some of these great best-of-breed exclusives, but I'm going to get brand new games every week, every 2 weeks, 3 or 4 brand new, totally exclusive originals every month on the Series X? Which would you choose? Because I know I would choose the Series X because I want more variety, but there are some people I think that would say, no, I would rather play less games, but make sure the ones that I'm playing are, the best of breed. Which one would you do?
The thing is, it's funny because I can see both sides of that, and it's funny because it's almost like a tightrope, because you are choosing between what are going to be some of the best titles that are going to be made and kind of the unknown. But the unknown with Microsoft is actually pretty interesting, especially with some of the back and pat titles, and then what they're going to do with the machine learning. And they were talking about before the system released about how the machine learning could go in and take textures from games from the original Xbox and Xbox 360 and make them look like they're 4K textures.
So which one would you go with, though? Make a call. Go.
I think truthfully the Xbox Series X.
Gotcha.
Just for the choice of all of the games that are out there, all of the back and pat, and then with all the studios they bought, I think it would be just amazing.
Gotcha.
What we will see in the future, hopefully.
All right.
It's a roll of the dice, but
I appreciate the call, bad boy. I'm going to get to your bigger
no
topic,
problem,
but hang on real quick. We're doing movie night tomorrow night. Don't forget, get your popcorn. I don't know.
What are we watching?
I don't know just yet. I'm not sure what our mood will be. I will put up a poll on the YouTube and on the Discord, and we'll see what people dig. I'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks for the call.
We got to get the Grandma's Boy at some point, man.
It was only because it wasn't showing. It's supposed to be on Amazon Prime. So we'll figure it out. All right, thanks, buddy. All right, there goes bad boy. Let me tell you something. Let me address this point really quickly. Okay, well, I will. Shadow Spade in the chat says they are not dropping a game every month, even with all the studios and third parties. Stop it. No, I won't stop it. Listen to me, motherfucker. These guys literally had an indie showcase a month ago, Xbox, And they said, these, I think it was either 80 or 40, but let's just on the conservative side. These 40 indie titles are coming to Game Pass day one. That's, if nothing else, that's almost a full year, right? 52 weeks. Then we know they've got Schaefer's company. They've got In Exile. They've got all the Bethesda companies. They've got if the initiative ever ships their game with people, I don't know. But they've got that. They've got the not the collective. They've got the guys who did Gears, right? Even though Ferguson left, they're still making games. So the idea that they're not building up to a cadence of incredibly frequent drops, I'm sorry. I don't know how your math works out in that way. Back to Bad Boy's point, though, really quickly because from an outside view, and this has always fascinated me, from an outside view, I know it looks like, well, Jesus, Sony, you dropped the ball in PS3. Why are you doing this again? First off, I don't think they're dropping the ball like they did on PS3. That was a very specific set of conditions built around a genius guy, Kutaragi, that also maybe had drank too much of his own Kool-Aid. And I've done this with my games. You know, there's a point where you stop obsessing about pleasing the audience because you think you've got it covered. And then it turns out, no, you never have it covered. You should always be desperate for the audience's approval. Well, I think on the case of PS3, decisions got made and he was at a position where he could make them and no one could tell him no for the most part. That wasn't really good for business. That's not what we're dealing with PS5. But what I will say is you are dealing with humans and you're dealing with politics and you're dealing with people who are put into positions and let go of from positions that probably easily would have been better in this position or that position that someone that might be more political has been able to maneuver their way into. That's just part of it. That's part of it in grade school. That's certainly part of it when you're talking about multi-billion-dollar companies like Sony. So the idea that they're just morons and don't see that maybe they're making some bad calls. Look, the fact that you literally have Sean Layden, who I think at this point we can say did not kind of leave happily. I'm not saying he was mad or anything, like he, threw chairs, but I don't think it was like, oh yeah, I'm Sean Layden, Sony, I'd like to go now. I think it was clear, and I don't have any dirt on this other than what you guys have, but it's been made clear publicly through people talking on the internet that he was kind of, in a word, pushed out, right? Well, that motherfucker is sitting here today on Twitter liking a bunch of posts, like publicly liking Twitter posts, where people are saying, we need you, Sean. The difference between Sean Layden's management and Jim Ryan's management has never been more evident. And he's clicking the heart button. Okay, so it's not like there are people at Sony that don't see and have ideas that they could run things better, but they didn't play the game that was being played, and now I'm not saying Sean. I'm saying you have to factor that human factor into it. It's not like a robot that's doing this. These are humans with their own agendas, with their own ambitions, with their own politics, with their own quality and ability of playing the political game, and that gets factored in as well. And that's unfortunate, but that's what happens when you deal with people. Let me go to some super chats and I'll go to some calls. I appreciate all the connection today, folks. The great conversation and obviously the great generosity is very kind. Thank you guys very, very much from all of us here. I don't mean like there's many. It's me and my kids and my dog, but I mean all like the mods and Rob and Bukaki and all the regulars. It's nice to see a lot of new faces is my point. Thank you guys for that. Okay. Okay. This is Resident Evil Fan 1, and boy, we might watch Resident Evil, by the way, tomorrow night. It's one of our movies. But anyway, I'm very excited for the new one. He says, he dropped super chat, thank you, sir. He says, I'm scared the quality budget of PS games will suffer if they go Game Pass. Also, do you know anything about the rumored Silent Hills? Anything? Okay. The quality won't suffer. The funny part about it, and I'm going to use this term wrong because I think it's funny when people say ironical. The ironical part about it is Sony is in a better position than Microsoft to make something like Game Pass work at a cultural level. Because remember when Sony put out Ratchet and Clank There was it was like a short Ratchet and Clank for like $20. They put this out on PS3. And then they put out Lost Legacy. Like, they've got experience being able to say, we can take our amazing abilities to make games, and we can also do sort of short form versions. Okay. The fact is, Gears of War Hive Busters was a great add-on that was free if you had Game Pass. And I get people, it's not free. I see it all. You know what I'm talking about. But would I rather maybe play Ghost of Tsushima Legends, or is it Legends, the multiplayer? Yeah, because that was one of the best multiplayer add-ons ever for a game, right? I don't think you have to see the quality go down. You would see it go down in some areas because, scope would be reduced, but the quality wouldn't go down. It's like, look, I watched, like I said earlier, Falcon and Winter Soldier last night. Well, that budget is nowhere near the budget they have for making, the new Spider-Man, but it still looked good, and it still had the heart and soul of a Marvel MCU movie, and it was still, in my opinion, better, not than all, but better than most of the Netflix Marvel shows. So I actually think Sony could crackerjack the fuck out of Game Pass, or their version of Game Pass, if they said, let's keep making the bigs, but let's also get a division going that's just the small shit, anywhere from $500,000 to $12 million, and let's make some of them based on IPs we've already done. Let's make stuff based on engines we already have. Like, let's make a short form story that tells the story between Last of Us 1 and 2. Let's make the first adventure of is it Cassie Drake, even though it's not a proper Uncharted 6. Let's just make a 3-hour adventure of her like young Indiana Jones, or like when Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade opens and you see India's River Phoenix. Let's do shit. It would blow Game Pass away, and they would still have all of their third-party deals that they could also do exclusives. So I don't think Jim Ryan would have to give on his position, which I think is right, that you don't want to put a $200 million game out on a subscription service right away. I think the fact that HBO Max is walking back there, we're going to release all of our big movies day one in theaters and at home, is probably because they have seen they can't make as much money going subscription service day one with those massive movies right now. But they could certainly, meaning Jim Ryan could certainly say, you're not going to get God of War Ragnarok day one. Are you fucking high? We make the best shit in the business. Go fuck yourself. But I can promise you, we are going to give you best of breed new games that are going to drop on PS Now that you won't get anywhere else in their day one. And then I can also promise you within 6 months to a year, depending, you will get these games coming to PS Now. You will get Ragnarok, but you're not going to get it day one. You could totally spin that. Yeah, Game Pass does it because they're not as good as we are. We don't have to do it. But so I don't agree with your thesis that the quality, the budgets will go down for day one drops, but the quality doesn't have to go down. Sony's in a better position than anyone to make sure the quality doesn't go down. Bill says, I sat here for 40 minutes waiting for the stream to start, then I refreshed the page. I'm so stupid. And you're also stupid because you paid me money to say that, Bill. Buddy, I appreciate it. I'm sorry about that. If I could give me your phone number, I'll call. I will literally call you on the phone the next stream, no matter what time it is that's starting. You DM me your phone number on Discord. I will do it live on the stream so people will hear it, but I will call you just once because you spent money to tell us how dumb you are. I will call you on the next stream. Join our Discord. Send me a DM with your phone number. I will call you once we've started the next stream so you don't have to miss it. Tep Taylor, hello, buddy. He's our good friend. He says, Sean Layden is liking tweets dunking on Jim Ryan and photoshops of dogs pissing on Jim Ryan. What? I didn't know he was like... Wait, we have to go to the tape. One moment, please. He's liking... He's liking the pissing ones? Where do I find such a thing? Put that in the Discord. We'll bring it up. I want to see that shit. I want to see that. That's crazy. Look, I mean, I actually heard, I was so flattered. You know, I do these stupid little fucking puppets sometimes, this shit, right? I actually heard that Sean had seen those, and he actually somebody said, hey, have you seen those that Jaffe does? And he actually liked them, which made me very happy because I like Sean. He's such a good guy. Well, I know him as a good guy. I don't want to, I'm not like, he's good, Jim's bad. I don't know Jim. I don't know Herman. I'm sure they're good guys too. Sean's a sweet individual. He's a good human being. But send me that. I want to see that picture. God damn. Ricardo Estevez, our good friend who is a game journalist, he says, game creator Jaffe or streamer Jaffe? I need both. Well, I don't know, man. I love streaming. It's so much fun right now. We're having such a good time. I take it one day at a time. You never know what the future holds, but I appreciate it, Ricardo. Thank you. Morgan, our good friend, dropped super chat, says, do you see Sony making an actual RPG ever again? No. If you mean an RPG like a Final Fantasy RPG like that, no. I mean, yes, if they open a boutique studio, sure. But no, not like a AAA RPG. I mean, do I see them making an RPG like maybe Mass Effect? I could maybe see that if you want to call that an RPG. But if you mean like Ark the Lad or no, I don't. The closest I could see them getting is greenlighting something like Skyrim, or Wasteland, which is a more third-person, first-person RPG open world with a lot of RPG elements. But it's not kind of a traditional RPG is what I would say. Chongo dropped super chat. Hello, Pop. Props for that E3 tweet. That made me feel okay wasting my money. Viewership is popping. Neat to see. Stay OG as you grow and don't get too repetitive. I don't know what that means. The problem with being repetitive on a show like this is it's not edited. So people are coming and going every X number of minutes. So a lot of times they'll ask me the same thing. If you have any advice or specifics, Chongo, or anybody watching, I'm always trying to make the show better. Please let me know. Banter and Babble has dropped a super chat. He doesn't say much. He's quiet, kind of like Penn and Teller. Not Penn, but Teller's. Teller, who doesn't talk? The one who doesn't talk. That's our buddy Banter and Babble. I appreciate it, buddy. Dr. Emmett Brown drops super chat. He says, thanks for the good conversation, Jaffe. Dr. Brown, you are very welcome. Thank you for doing God's work and creating time travel. I know the government has since confiscated your DeLorean and your flux capacitor. That's why you've had to seek refuge in the 1800s. But one day, sir, you will be back and you will change the goddamn world. Pedro Mata joins. I believe you have joined the Diet Soda Soldiers, and I appreciate that. Did I get that right? Did you join the Diet Soda Soldiers? Who'd you join? Let me find out right now. What is it, Clavin?
So the traffic's still 35 minutes, and it's past 1:15.
Okay, yeah. If Sarah wants to come over, we'll go.
Mom says you can just bring mute it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, please. Pedro, where did you, let me find you, buddy. Pedro, unfortunately, it doesn't tell me what tier you signed up at. Oh, Max Ankar's in the chat, and Max Ankar's talking about Neuralink. Max Ankar does all the special effects, fellas, on all the God of War games. He is the head special effects motherfucker over at Sony. He is a genius, and yes, if you haven't seen the video of the monkey playing Pong on the Neuralink, you goddamn right that's cool. Pedro, I am sorry. I don't know what tier you've joined at, but whatever tier it is, I appreciate it very much, and I will make sure I never make that mistake again. I didn't realize that the chat goes away, and I don't know where you joined. It just says you've joined. Thank you for that, Pedro. Addie's super chat says, when Aaron Greenberg said we're not profitable, it was last March at 9 million. Now it's 20 million, 18 million. So yeah, fuck you ponies. Hey, Jaffe. Hello, Addie. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for coming in and kicking the hornet's nest. It's appreciated, sir. Kronos is always telling you motherfuckers to smash the like button and subscribe. Look, I love Kronos. Thank you for the super chat. He's doing God's work. But let me tell you something. Only smash the like button if you like the show. If you don't, fuck you. Or if you don't, tell me how I can make it better and give me a thumbs down. More importantly, hit subscribe if you like the show and you want to see more. I do videos, I do streams, we do movie nights, we do all kinds of shit here, okay? But what I'll tell you is if you hit the subscribe button, you got to hit the bell, and you got to hit the bell that doesn't say personal notifications, because that's what's fucking up a lot of people saying, Jaffe, I don't know when you're streaming. I subscribe. It doesn't tell me. It's because you click the personal notifications. You got to click the base notifications. Kronos, thank you. I'm going to go to some phone calls now. Here we go. This is Psycho Mantis has been waiting a long time. Psycho Mantis, what's up, pal? Psycho Mantis, are you there? All right. I'm going to leave you on the line. Wait, Wait, no, you're muted. That's not me though. You muted yourself. I am going to bring in Slayer Christ. Is it Slayer Christ? All right, here we go. Slayer, go. Interesting. Dark One, go. Papa Cheeks, go. Okay, there's Psycho Manus. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Doing a stream. What are you doing?
Trying to talk to Jaffe.
What are you wearing? Are you there? All right, go. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, it's always Slayer Christ. What's going on, Jaffe?
Not much. Hang on. Let me get Psycho. He came in first, and I'll bring you in. Okay, go. Go Psycho. Psycho. Holy shit, baby. Let's go. Goodness goddamn gracious, sir. Let's do it. All right, fuck it. Slayer's back in. Slayer, you're in the game. You're the quarterback. What's up, buddy?
Not much. So I was wondering, how long do you think Sony actually has to answer Game Pass?
I mean, they have as long as they want. I think even if they totally get their lunch and eaten and clock clean this generation, it's not like Sony's going out of business. They can, they'll learn and they'll get back up. But here's what I think.
Uh-huh.
This last week was, if I am Sony, in what I have, and I'm not saying they don't, by the way, but what they have to announce this summerish, which is their kind of new studio plan, if that doesn't do the job, and they don't feel that would do the job, this week that just passed is absolutely should be having them shaking in their goddamn boots, because you saw India as a canary in the coal mine, where people walked in to buy a PS4 and PS5 and they couldn't, and then they said, oh, wait, Game Pass, what's that? And suddenly last week in India, Xbox X and S were the number one consoles for the first time. And India is predominantly Sony country, okay? You also had, for the first time, you had Outrunners, where you could compare between $70 and free. You had Dirt, which you can compare between $60 and free. And then you had the announcement of MLB, $60 and free. So it was no longer just these PlayStation exclusives that you have, not PlayStation, Xbox exclusives that you have to wait on. Just wait. That was no longer the conversation. And it was no longer, oh yeah, but it's just little shitty indies. Now you're getting major third-party titles coming, day one date to Game Pass. If what Sony has coming that they're going to announce is not competitive, then this week is an indication that they're going to have a big fight on their hands this generation, which I think is great, because it means that, look, I think this stuff is the future in terms of the way people are going to get their games. I know a lot of gamers don't like to hear that. And I think that ultimately Sony will get there. And if nothing changes, Sony is going to remain the best in the business in a certain kind of game. And it'll be great to get those games from Sony on a better subscription service. That is my answer, good sir. I appreciate the call. Thank you. All right. I'm going to try one more time with Psycho Manus. Here we go. Psycho Manus, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, Jaffe?
Good. What's up? Go.
So I do have I think PlayStation's response to Game Pass, this is just my theory, that they're waiting on the AMD update for the Fidelity FX, right? Which, them closing down the stores for Vita, PS3,
and PSP, yep.
A lot of those titles being older, of course, graphic-wise, that they're waiting on this Fidelity FX update by AMD to run onto the system, which it will produce better graphics for those particular titles. And the reason why they're closing the store down in April, or so close, is that it's going to be an announcement come their E3 presentation this year.
I think you're spot on about the reason those stores are. Thanks for the call, by the way. I'm going to hang up and I'm going to address your point. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you waiting.
Yeah, no problem.
I think he's spot on. Psycho Manus, because he's Psycho Manus and he can read your mind. Have you been playing Castlevania, you old knucklehead? Listen to me. I think he's spot on about the fact that Sony will announce late spring or summer what their plans are. And I don't think this idea, look, there's no doubt there is doubt because I don't know. I haven't looked at the numbers. They wouldn't share those with me, and they shouldn't. But I don't imagine it's hard to argue that the PS3 store, the PSP store, and the PS Vita store, if it was profitable at all, it was barely. So I don't think anybody faults them. Like, are you morons? Why are you closing it down? I think they're closing it down because they are getting ready for some kind of an announcement about backwards compatibility via emulation and via trophy systems and all that stuff. So I do agree with that. I don't think it's driven by, wow, you're going to be able to play the original Spyro the Dragon, or you're going to be able to play Motorstorm Arctic, whatever it was called, which was a great Motorstorm, but with some better graphics. I don't think that's driving the decision making, but I could be wrong. We'll find out. Papa Cheeks, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What's going on, man?
Well,
I'm sorry to keep you. I know you got to go take your kid
it's okay.
Across town.
Not yet. Go.
So my question was, I think I've talked about you a little bit about the services and Game Pass. So this whole shit stir that's happening with possibly within Sony, which could be just, business as usual. Maybe they're just, shuffling some things around, like you were saying, things didn't pan out. But my thing is this: I know you're a big fan of Game Pass, and I think it's a phenomenal service.
Yeah.
My issue with the service industry right now is the examples that we have in terms of the companies and their profitability margins. It seems to be that if you own your own content that you're putting on the service, you are more better off in terms of your return from your subscribers, in terms of what it costs for your operating costs, because obviously there's licensing of like all the different shows that come from different providers and movies and all that shit.
Okay.
So my thing is, I think obviously Microsoft's end game, why they spent $7.5 billion on Bethesda and then opened all those studios, is so they can basically have content on their service. So maybe they're not relying so much on the big third-party stuff. But my thing is, to me, my comparison is, right now, in terms of their growing margin, they're growing extremely quickly. I would say that Microsoft is at a Netflix type of company at this point, where they're growing at a very good rate, but the problem is they have to spend a ton of money to grow.
Okay.
And Netflix currently, they make a good a couple billion per profit. The problem is they're taking that profit and they're spending a shit ton to create new movies, to create new shows. So therefore, they don't have a big surplus just lying in a bank somewhere. They're actually everything that they're making, they're cycling back through to the service.
Okay, all right. So your point is what?
That what's the end game? When can you actually kind of wind down these deals that they're doing with big third party games that obviously are driving
probably never
tons of growth?
Probably never. But, look, Netflix just yesterday or this week announced they're spending $400 million, not for the budget, but for the rights, to get the rights to make the Knives Out franchise. They're making Knives Out 2 and 3. The director
they just did the deal for Spider-Man, right?
And Spider-Man and Uncharted, all the Sony stuff. Rain Johnson, who's the director, Ryan Johnson is going to make $100 million. Daniel Craig is going to make $100 million. So they're never going to stop because that's the business they're in. But here's the thing. Look, maybe do you have an MBA or something? Did you go to business school?
No, but I've been following this.
I ask because
so.
I don't either. And the reason I ask is because this comes up a lot in relation to, and I've already talked about it on this stream, so I'll be very brief about repeating it, but it comes up a lot. And what do you think is more logical? Do you think companies that are not only successful or big like Netflix, that companies that are run by, at the time, people like geniuses like Bob Iger or HBO, Warner Brothers, all of those guys saw Netflix and said, we want some of that, right? Do you think it's more likely that companies like that, and then as games go, companies like Microsoft, are filled with executives that are very bright and experienced and know how to run numbers and figure out if this is a good plan or not? Or do you think they didn't think to do that, but the internet did? The people on NeoGAF did? Which do you think is probable?
Well, I mean, I'm going by what's currently going on with Microsoft with the rest of their services. Nadella was made the whole reason that Game Pass exists was because of a talk between Phil Spencer and a couple other people within Xbox and Nadella and their whole plan of their service model. Like Office 365 is like where the majority of the company, on top of server infrastructure and things like that they license out, is where they make basically all of their money.
Right, and say like Adobe. I was thinking that Adobe Photoshop. I used to be. It's everybody's going that way.
But they own it though. That's the thing. That's the difference right now between like the film/game industry is like, I guess unless like you're the sole owner of the content that you're putting out for the streaming, your return is going to be that much better because you're not spending as much in terms of like licensing deals.
I think it depends on the deal, and I think it depends on the game. I think you may be right if who knows what Sony paid for Avengers to get that on PS Now. Although now that we know it's not the PS5 version, who the fuck knows? Probably wasn't much, or it should have been more. But yes, it depends on the deal. And certainly the more you can own it, the better. But that's anything. If you look at Netflix now, most of what Netflix is putting out now is original content. I mean, they've got a brand new superhero movie coming out today with Jason Bateman and that crazy woman in Spy. I forget her name, Melissa McCarthy. They're always putting out new shows, and Queen's Gambit was brilliant. HBO Max has their own stuff. What's the other one that just came out that was really big? But
Invincible.
Yeah,
on Amazon.
All of this stuff is moving towards they're going to basically make their own stuff. So yeah, I don't think you're wrong, but I don't think that means that third-party deals aren't also part of it. We saw that yesterday with Sony and Spider-Man.
I got one more thing, and I'll let you go because I know you got to get going.
Yep.
So Disney Plus basically were able to do over half of the numbers that Netflix currently has worldwide, which is like close to 200 and something.
Okay.
They did like 95 something million subscribers and growing.
Yep.
And it's because of the original content they have that they own.
Yeah.
And my thing is, Game Pass had Red Dead Redemption 2 and Devil May Cry 5. They had them on there for about 6 months, and they had to go.
Yeah.
And my thing is like probably because the price to put those on that service was probably pretty astronomical.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, I'm just assuming in terms of like when you look at the sales of those games.
Let's assume that was the case. What's your point?
I'm just saying, like, what's the silver lining, I guess, in terms of like how this works in terms of return. Got it. Okay, I understand. I'm going to address that. Thank you, Papa. Thanks for waiting and thanks for calling. No problem.
All right, let me address that briefly. My answer will always be the same unless new data comes. And I'm going to say this succinctly, and I'm not saying this to be a dick. These aren't idiots. The idea that here's all you get to know is you don't know. I understand. Papa's not wrong. We don't understand how the numbers work. So, do you need to? I mean, let's for a moment. Let's just for a moment assume that Papa and people like him, and there's a lot of them. And I'm not saying he's wrong. Let's assume he's right as rain. And this goddamn Game Pass is a fucking money pit like the goddamn house Tom Hanks and Shelley Long bought in the motion picture money pit produced by Steven Spielberg. I don't know. But let's assume that's what we're talking about. Okay? Great. So in 3 years it'll go under and we can say, yeah, but that was a really cool 3 years. I mean, what do you care? Right? I mean, if you're an investor, maybe you care. But if Jim Ryan and his folks and Herman Holst and all those folks decide we are going to go big when they announce this summer and we are going to go, or maybe Jim Ryan says, I know it's big, but I can't put all my eggs in that basket. So we are going to make a much better PS Now, PS Plus, but we're still going to also keep our foot in retail $70, $60 games. Great. We all win. And I don't mean that like I know we're enjoying discussing the business and stuff, but there's a point where you either have to assume that all of these people that get paid a lot of fucking money know what they're doing, or at least know enough that they're making educated bets. And you have to also assume that when a company makes a bet that you don't think is educated, if other companies also say, we want to make that bet too, that maybe they have a little more information than you do. But I don't know. You may be right. All right, these are the last 3 calls, and I'm going to get to the super chats. Here we go. This is Reza. Go.
Hey, Jeff, do you have my voice?
I hear you. What's up?
Good. There's a point I wanted to mention about the paradigm shift in PlayStation Studios management.
Okay.
That I think no one is noticing. One of the reasons they're changing a lot, I think, is Nintendo. and their first party. If you have noticed, I don't know, everyone agrees with me on this or no, but I think PlayStation first party games are selling good records, but they're not smashing the charts. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, but if you're talking about smashing the charts, do you mean like Nintendo, or do you mean like
exactly like Nintendo, like Animal Crossing selling 20 plus millions copies in a year?
Yeah, because let me add to that too, because I think the thing a lot of people, it's very easy to get caught in the hardcore gamer bubble. But when you actually look at the most successful games, like financially, they're not console games. They're certainly not Sony games. I mean, if you look at games like Fortnite and Fall Guys and Among Us and Call of Duty multiplayer and fucking mobile games that make way more than console games, the majority of people who game that make this industry bigger than movie and film, it's not because they're playing Uncharted 4 or Gears of War 5. It's because they're playing low graphic fidelity games, low barrier of entry games that everybody can play. And that is, I mean, that really is a great, there was somebody on, I think it was Min in Boxes on NeoGAF, who was suggesting yesterday that Sony could compete with Game Pass because they don't have the money that Microsoft has by sort of moneyballing it. If you've seen Moneyball, I don't know if his analogy was perfect, but the idea being that there's a lot of games that are making a lot of money that don't cost near as much as $200 million Uncharted epics. And maybe Sony should be digging into those a little bit. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I agree 100%. Thank you for the call, sir. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
Totally right. Totally right. Dark One, it's Jaffe. Go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. And sorry if I struggle.
I don't care.
Because English is not my first language.
The fact that you can speak more than one language has you a shit ton ahead of me. All right, go. What's up?
Okay, so just very quickly, why do you think Sony does not exploit their nostalgia factor as Nintendo does?
I think it's okay. So my answer to that is, I don't think it's a bad move, but I think
wait.
I want to answer your question. It's a good question.
Okay.
I think you have to really drill down into what has made a lot of Sony's games, certainly recently, special compared to Nintendo's games. I think Nintendo's games work on a very different part of the brain, not just because they're more gameplay focused than production focused. So they have a longer lifespan. You can still go back and play Donkey Kong and have a relatively good time. It's hard to go back and play Twisted Metal 1 and enjoy it for anything other than nostalgia. So part of it is the kind of the way they make games is they don't rely as much on the pillar of production as Sony does to keep people engaged. And in that, I think the meat or the foundation of those actual products is stronger. So I think part of it is that. I think part of it is also that if you look at what they have done legacy-wise, there was a long time where they were doing things like Crash or Medieval or Spyro,
exactly.
And those don't really work with their audience. Like your average 32-year-old dude gamer who just dropped $500 on a PS5 is not going to want to play Spyro, even though it might look brilliant. He's going to want to play. I'm not saying,
I don't know, man.
I'm not suggesting no one. I'm saying your average. So I would say that's why. I do think they should continue to pump their legacy. And I hope they're doing it. It sounds like they might be doing it with their movie and TV division. And I think again, if I was running Sony, I would say, guys, open a division that's boutique Sony. Make smaller games, make legacy games. Let us continue. Let us keep our foot in that, and let's never. It's kind of like when Michael Eisner took over Disney back in the 80s. And he said, look, this company will always be, no matter what we do, we will always be about our animation. Even though they went through a rough period, when they came in with Katzenberg and said, let's make this better, and we got Little Mermaid and all that, they were like, we never want to turn our backs on what the DNA of this is. I think it's wrong that Sony, at least from our optics level, maybe they do, but we certainly don't see it, they don't have their foot in that, because you're absolutely right that there is a great value in raising people on their IPs that they're just letting languish. But I don't think they need to be making a $25 million version of Ape Escape either. I think there's a blend.
Oh, no.
Right. Thank you. Thanks for the call, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, man. Oh, well, okay.
Call back next time. I'm running short on time. I want to get to all the chats and calls. Thank you, sir. All right. Last call of the day is Ricardo. Go.
Hi, how are you, man?
I'm good. How was dinner? How was dinner with your family?
Nice, thank you.
Very good.
First of all, let me just thank you. Your advice a few days ago.
What did I tell? Oh, well, look. Everybody goes into the butthole by accident sometimes. The fact that you were aiming for the vagina, don't worry, but just shake it off and act like, oh, I meant to do that. That advice?
It's always a good surprise when it happens.
Absolutely. What advice did I give you?
Listen, it was regarding my kid and your kids.
Oh, yes, indeed. I hope that helped. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, man.
You're welcome. All right, go. What's up?
So I want to talk about something that appears to be some confusion in the chat. There's no Uncharted and Spider-Man deal with Netflix. There's a Sony Pictures deal for the next 5 years, and that includes all Sony Pictures movies.
Which includes Spider-Man, Uncharted, Ghost of Tsushima, if they make those movies.
Yes. And also, Sony will do 2 to 3 movies a year for Netflix, exclusively for Netflix.
Okay.
Aside from the theatrical releases.
So what do you think the confusion is? Where are people confused?
It seems like people were just thinking about it was something about Uncharted and Spider-Man.
Oh no, that's just the headline. I mean, because end of the day, Sony Pictures doesn't actually have a lot of brands. We talked about this the other day. It's like, wow, Sleepless in Seattle. Who gives a shit?
That's exactly my point.
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead. Will
PlayStation Productions be involved in this at all?
I mean, they're going to make. My understanding is your understanding. You probably know more than I do, but PlayStation Productions, if you're listening and you don't know, that's the new division that they've opened up under Assad. And they're making Uncharted. They're doing the Twisted Metal show. They announced Ghost of Tsushima.
Still no platform for Twisted Metal, by the way.
Still no what?
As far as I know.
Oh, like which
platform?
Yeah, I mean, it's a TV show, but who's going to carry it? I don't know. Yeah. But regardless, though, ultimately, my understanding is, I don't think PlayStation Productions is required to go through Sony Pictures, but at least on Uncharted, we know they are. I guess it's possible they could make the movie version of Wipeout, and that would end up going, to Paramount. I don't know if they have to always go through Sony Pictures.
If you've been paying attention, Netflix is showing a lot of interesting video games licensed lately.
Absolutely.
The Assassin's Creed movie, Resident Evil, Sonic, Castlevania, Dota.
All the anime stuff too. The animations based on video games as well. Yeah.
So perhaps PlayStation Productions could play a part in this. I'm not sure.
Perhaps Netflix will buy Sony. Who knows? I'm not.
Yeah, and also, I'm not sure you remember a few months ago, Game Pass did something with Disney Plus.
Game Pass, Disney Plus. They had a deal like get Game Pass and you get like a month of Disney Plus.
So would Netflix at all be involved in something with the PS Now or something like that in the future?
It's an absolutely great question. It's a good,
I don't know anything.
No, I know, but it's a good theory. It's an absolutely good theory. So, all right, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for calling as always, buddy. Good to see you. We'll see you at movie night maybe tomorrow night.
Yeah, see you, man. Bye-bye.
All right, there goes Ricardo. So listen now. Here's what I'm going to do, because I want to do these super chats and I want to give them the respect they deserve. The last super chat I did was I kind of stopped on Chronos. So let me see how many more we've got, which I'm crazy appreciative. Holy shit, look at all these subs. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to make a video. I've got to take my kid to a sleepover. It's the last day of spring break, the weekday. When I get back, I'm going to do a video where I address respectfully the super chats that I didn't get to. What I will not do is just be like, thanks for the being, and you're done. That's not, you put your money in, you put your time in, you're going to get a real fucking answer. So I apologize, you're not going to get it right now, but you will have it on a separate video. I will time code that video so you will be able to look at it and get a sense of where your question is. But that will be coming through later this afternoon. I got to drive to Carlsbad and I got to, get foodstuffs and I got to clean the kitchen and then I'm going to do it. And I'll also be announcing movie night later today, what it is tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. So in the meantime, though, there you go. That is Gabbin' and Games for, what is it, April 9th? Wait, Daniel, okay, hang on. David, check out Daniel Ahmad's tweets. Okay, let's do that real quick. I have time for that. I don't know who Daniel Ahmad is. Let's find out together. Daniel Ahmad? Oh, right. He's the guy who covers video games in Asia. Okay, let's see what he's got to say. I'll put him on the screen so we can enjoy the Twitter stylings of Danny Ahmad as pals do together. Hang on. There we go. Is that it? You guys see it now? Okay. His tweets say, the U.S. spends more on defense than the next 10 countries combined. Okay. Yeah. Interesting job title for head of mobile at PlayStation Studios. Revolves around adapting PlayStation's most popular franchises to mobile. Some of the most popular mobile games today are based on IP. There you go. It's no secret games such as PUBG and Call of Duty found success on mobile. The global game mobile market will be 3 times the size of the console market. He's listening to my shit. That's a great point. It's an absolutely great point. That's interesting. Now, I wonder, though, just by the writing, does that mean most popular franchises like give us an Uncharted mobile? Probably. It's the Uncharted Match 3 game. Or does it mean we're going to do Ape Escape? Probably means all of them. That's awesome. That's great to hear. And if anybody has been playing Apple Arcade, which is mobile games without all the bullshit, it's good people. Sakaguchi's RPG on their Fantasia, I think it's called Fantasia, it's a weird fucking name, is really fucking good. It's really good stuff. So that's cool to see. I appreciate bringing it to my attention. Now, that's it. April 9th, babies. Listen, great conversations, great super chats, great phone calls, great normal chats. I appreciate you spending some of your day with me chatting the video games. Again, Jason Schreier, I wouldn't have leaked the game titles, but the story sounds pretty accurate. I love a lot of those people still over at Sony. There's good people over there. I think they're going to be able to give Xbox a run for their money, and it's so tropey and so gross to say, but when they do that, we all win, which is true. We do, but it's still tropey. But yeah, so I wish all of them well. It's hard as fuck to make games. Chris Kovac, who's a great video game animator in the business, said something to me I'll never forget. Guy's fucking younger than I am, but this is genius wisdom. He says, dude, shipping a game at all is a miracle. So anybody who makes games has my fucking respect. At this level has my insane respect and awe for whatever that's worth. Probably not much. Thanks for all the new members. I'll address you in today's video. Super chats I didn't get to, I'll address in today's video. Mods, thank you so much. Rob, hope you're doing great, good sir. Bukaki, we'll see you soon. RPG, thank you for modding. And